This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is going to go downhill real quick.
What is going on, and welcome to Take on the World with Mike D, and my special guest is
Ray the Podcaster.
Ray the Podcaster. Ray the Podcaster is the host of 10 Cent Beer Night and the co-host of Deluxe Edition on the Deluxe Edition Network, which obviously with my Den shirt on, I am part of. He is also. You want to plug your show?
Yeah, I am the host of the 10 Cent Beer Night podcast. You can find that on Spotify. But more importantly, I am the co-host of the Deluxe Edition with Casey and Ray. And that's my bread and butter right there. That's the one that doesn't pay the bills, but it's the one I focus on. So if you're going to check one out, go check out Deluxe Edition.
I will tell you, I listen to the Deluxe Edition. I listen to your regular podcast. Deluxe Edition gets some awesome interviews. Me and my son are always impressed with the guys that you get to interview, and that's awesome. I'm not really good at interviewing people.
You know the trick? You just pretend like they're some dude you met at the bar. That's the trick.
Yeah, well, when I was in the wrestling business, that's how it was with the names coming in. You went up, you introduced yourself, you didn't act like a little kid, and then you let them do their thing, and then they'll come talk to you.
Right.
So,
yeah, you don't want to look like a fanboy. That's the difference. If you're trying to interview someone and you act like a fanboy, like that old skit, you remember that time you did that thing? That was awesome. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that over and over again, because then they're going to get bored. Yeah.
So the reason we got together today is, and there's a little backstory to it, and I'm going to go through it real quick. I have a friend who I lost contact with for years, and we recently bumped into each other, and we were texting and reminiscing about old times, and she messaged me. She goes, "Hey, do you remember that night when you and your buddies stopped by my house and wanted to take me out to a movie?" And I'm like, "Vaguely." And she goes, "I can't remember the name of the movie, but I could tell you how the opening scene is." And I'm like, "Well, what's the opening scene? And what year was it?" And she's saying 1984. Mm-hmm. What she didn't say is we went to the midnight movies, and the midnight movies play older movies.
Yep.
So I'm looking, I go in the chat and I'm like, "Hey, does anybody know because everybody in there knows movies. Yeah. Anybody know this movie from 1984? This is the opening scene." And they're like, "No, you're nuts." And I'm like, so I keep looking. I finally find the opening scene. I'm like, "Well, that's 1981. That's 1984. And so I texted her back, and that was the movie. And then I made the comment that I had found the movie, and now there was a remake done of this movie. And anybody who listens to my show knows I am not a fan of remakes or reboots or redos. I don't like them. I like originals, even if they were crappy.
Yeah.
And I made the comment that I had liked the remake of this movie better than the original. And you had made the comment that I was wrong.
Yeah. You know what? I may have said that, but it's your opinion. You can be wrong all you want. That's fine.
You didn't say I was wrong, but you basically disagree with my assessment.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So we're going to sit down and figure this out.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you, and this might be a spoiler for the end. I have changed my mind.
Ah.
There's one main reason why I changed my mind. So I'll leave that as the gotcha at the end.
All right.
So the movie was My Bloody Valentine.
Yes.
I loved the flick in 81. I was 11 years old. I went to the theater to see it. There was a lot of stuff I didn't know about this movie. So I just run down the synopsis quick, not the synopsis, the background. The screenplay was by John Beard. I'm horrible with names, by the way. I pronounce them wrong all the time.
Here's what I know. If you don't know what the name is, just say it and pretend like you pronounced it correctly. And no one will be the wiser. And if they thought it was something else, they will be the one who's looking it up later going, man, I thought I knew that name.
Yeah. The story was written by Stephen Miller. He has like 21 writing credits. I'm not gonna go through them all, but he mostly wrote for TV series. He didn't do a whole lot of feature films. He wrote for Archie Bunker, Airwolf, Simon & Simon, Magnum P.I., The Jeffersons, Flipper. So how you go from that to writing, I think one of the better 80s horror movies.
Yeah, I think this is probably right up there with Friday the 13th, The Burning, Sleepaway Camp. I think this one is just as good, if not better, than some of those.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit better than The Burning. I did just watch The Burning for the first time. I hadn't seen that. And I don't know if you were talking about it or one of the other podcasts on the network was talking about it, or mentioned it. But I ended up enjoying it. My son watched it with me, which is cool because he kind of likes the 80s retro stuff too.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. Maybe he's just humoring me. I don't know.
But yeah, this one's right in the vein with those iconic movies. And I think the Miner should get a lot more love than he does in the horror community as an iconic figure.
Yeah.
Because you always see the Freddys and Jasons and Michael Myers and that, and he just gets left out a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I don't know if that's because they didn't make this into a series or sequels or anything. But a lot of the times the sequels kill the character. They really just take something away from them. Yeah.
Yes. There's very few sequels that don't diminish the mystique.
Mm-hmm.
The director was George Mihalka.
Sounds right to me.
Okay. He has 50 directing credits, many of them TVs. He does TV movies and several feature films. So this was a Canadian slasher film. The shooting began in 1980. And it was done at the where is it? Oh, the Sydney Mines in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And the mine had been closed for 5 years when they did the filming. So there's some parallels to the second one with the background of the filming too. They completed also in November of 1980. They started in September. So they only took a month to shoot it, 2 months.
Yeah, the budget was only like $2 million for this movie.
Yeah.
And I was reading that they were talking about during filming they had to be really careful in the mines because there was still methane gas and shit going on down there.
Yeah.
And that's scary, man. When you do these low budget horror movies like this back in the 80s, nobody really took safety like it was real.
Yeah. And they did all the shooting, the mine scenes in the mines.
Yeah.
There was nothing on set. This was all in the mines. So you got hot lights down there.
Yeah.
And that's scary with that methane. The running time was 1 hour, 33 minutes, which is you're in Casey's sweet spot.
That's the sweet spot right there.
I'm okay with a 2-hour movie.
I'll tell you right now, the only movie I think that I've ever seen that was 3 hours long that I was like, man, I'd watch another hour of this was Wolf of Wall Street. That's the only movie that I've ever seen that was 3 hours long. I was like, give me another hour of this.
I didn't realize that was 3 hours long.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so good.
Yeah.
So for me, when you start getting past 145, 150, I'm like, God, what are we doing? Can we just wrap this up? It's especially horror movies.
Yeah. If it's not nonsense in it, it doesn't bother me. If it's nonsense, I'm like, okay, let's go. Move on.
Yeah. Let's, I don't need to watch, somebody do banking or whatever for, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they can't get their loan. Just have them go into the bank, walk right back out, do a cutscene. Let's roll this thing. I want to see murder.
Bye.
Yeah.
When they were filming in the mine, they were 2,700 feet below ground.
Yeah.
That's deep.
That's fucking nuts.
And it's got to be scary for the actors who aren't used to that. And I'm claustrophobic, so going down in the mine would be a problem for me in the first place.
Yeah, I've done some spelunking, and you get down in them caves, man, you start getting a little weird. I'm not claustrophobic or anything, but it kind of creeps into the back of your head like, man, there was only one way in.
Yeah.
If something happens, I'm going to have to eat these fucking people that I came down here with to survive.
Absolutely.
Like, I have no choice. This is what I've learned from movies, especially this one.
Yeah, I could go down, but when it starts getting tight, the movie Below as Above.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And the descent,
it was a good one.
Stuff like
but I'm going to tell you something. They were in the catacombs of Paris, and when he was crawling through that small space over the bones and he got stuck, I got physically sick, had to leave the room. Like it bothered me that he was that stuck. I couldn't do it. I just freaked out in an MRI the other day.
Yeah. As far as tight spaces go, the only thing that it's an actual real thing. So it's not even from a horror movie. It's the Great White Fire. The doorway got jammed up with bodies and people were trying to squeeze out. And that gave me nightmares for months. Because I played in a lot of clubs like that growing up. And just the thought of a fire, it never occurred to me that those places catch fire. And, that's funny because real life shit scares me to death. But horror movies, I'm laughing. I'm having a good time. It's, look, because I know it's fake.
Yeah.
So that's the difference for me. Like the tight spot thing, though, it can get to you if you're not in the right frame of mind to be there. Like spelunking, especially. Like I had to squeeze through a couple of little fucking cracks, and I was like, phew. I'm getting a little big in the belly these days, and I don't know if I want to fucking suck it in to get through that crack. And
I scuba dive. I'll never cave dive. Never. Let's see. So we were talking about the location. When they booked the location and they finally agreed on it, the owners of the location went and cleaned everything up. So the production crew had to spend $30,000 to distress everything again. It was $30,000 of paint to make everything look like it was old again. I thought that was crazy.
You'd think the communication between them would have been like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And the landlord would have been like, yeah, cool. But what they heard is, can you clean this up? Like the disconnect there is weird, but maybe it was too dangerous or something is why they cleaned it up, Who knows?
I don't know. But they said they made it look like a Disney set.
Yeah. Imagine if they'd have left it like that and just filmed anyways.
So they grossed $5.6 million.
That ain't bad in my opinion.
But Paramount was disappointed with that. That was a $3 million profit at least.
Yeah, the problem is Friday had come out and fucking crushed the box office as far as horror movies of the time.
Yeah.
And I think it made like half or a third maybe of what Friday made at the time. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was not as much as Friday made. And that's the standard at that point. Are you Friday the 13th or are you Saturday the 14th? That's the difference. Which one are you? And unfortunately, this one didn't make as much money. But in my opinion, I think this story is every bit as good as Friday.
I thought so. Siskel and Ebert said it was about the 7th direct ripoff of Halloween.
Now, I think Halloween's a trash movie, in my opinion.
I know you said that. I disagree.
That's fine. I mean, I don't think I've met anyone who agrees with me.
I think the original was okay. I think the sequels sullied the name.
I just think the pacing of the first one's a little slow for my taste.
Yeah, that's true. It is true.
It's very, very slow for a slasher. But, it's not a bad movie. It really isn't. It's just, I like my killers to be a little quicker, I want them to get to their business a little sooner instead of hiding behind bushes.
Yeah.
Drag her behind the bush with you or something. Kill somebody. God damn.
They censored this movie like ridiculously for the American release. It received its R rating only after they made cuts to almost every kill scene.
The early 80s were not as most people think. There's a distinct timeline there for what you could get away with in the 80s. And the early 80s, like 80, 81, they really chopped a lot of those movies. They really did. And it's not until you get to maybe 85, 86 before they back off on the murders, because the directors and writers are like, we have to up the game here, so you gotta relax a little bit on the murder stuff. But I don't know. I wish they would have just turned them loose, because
it didn't. I was 11, and this movie didn't scare me. I thought this movie was fun.
Yeah. Oh, this movie's fantastic fun, especially for the kids. If you're a parent out there and you want to introduce your kids to horror, I would say this is much better of an introduction than Friday or Halloween or even, Sleepaway Camp. You want to show that to kids, but
yeah.
I think this one's a perfect introduction movie because the kills, some are gory, but they're not over the top, Evil Dead, blood shooting everywhere kind of gory. And,
Evil Dead 2 is a good introduction.
Evil Dead 2 is in my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I've probably seen that movie 60 times.
I was just watching some of it the other day.
I just rewatched it again the other night. When I was in high school, me and my brothers, there was an entire summer we watched that movie every night. Just love it to death. You're going to notice something. I get off topic real easy, so you're going to have to rein this in when you need to, Mike.
I'm fine when the train goes off the track, because that's what me and John do all the time.
Yeah.
One of the producers said the film was cut to ribbons and it still came back with an X rating.
I wish more of them would have just said, screw it, release it with an X. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, I think that they were shooting for the younger audience.
Back then, they were terrified of that X rating because you could only show it in the smut theaters then.
Yeah.
But I still think it would have done fine. Some guys like, hey, I just jerked off to this one movie, but then I hung around and watched this horror movie, and it was fantastic. I'm going to go back and actually eat some popcorn and watch a movie this time,
Where I grew up, there was an X-rated theater in Allentown, and it was down in a little valley. So we would sit up on the hill. We would just watch it. We'd sit up there with our bikes.
Well, like a drive-in?
Yeah, it's a drive-in theater.
Oh, my God, a smut drive-in. Man. Wow, that's not in the song.
No. In 2002, Paramount released it on DVD with some additional footage, and said that the other missing footage, the other cut footage, didn't exist anymore. But in 2008, Lionsgate had a licensing agreement from Paramount, and they added another 2.5 minutes of unreleased footage. They said with the 2002 and 2008 release, that's 90% of all the footage. They're still missing 10% of the footage that
It's it's crazy that these dudes were just like, oh wow, we'll just chuck it in the garbage can.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's just like Caddyshack was originally like 4 hours long, and they just threw all that extra footage away because they made them edit it down. They didn't save it because at that time nobody thought that it was that big a deal.
I have my TARDIS door back here. Doctor Who, almost the whole first season is gone forever.
Yeah, most of what you see from that first season is so grainy and garbagey that it's hardly watchable.
And that's what started that trend. That's over 50 years old now. So, and people love it. Like I go back and watch the old Doctor Who's all the time.
Yeah, I like Doctor Who a lot. Man, I do particularly like though David Tennant as the Doctor. I think he's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
He just there's something about him. I just like him.
My son loves Matt Smith. He got to meet him.
That's a good one too.
He got to meet him at a con, and he was little, and he walked up and he had we had got our picture taken with him earlier, and he walked up with the picture to get it signed, and he was wearing the fez. Yeah. And like he couldn't talk. Like my son just couldn't talk. And my son never shuts up. And I said, well, you have a chance to talk to him. And he signs the picture, and he reaches for his fez, and he goes, well, I'll sign that too. And his people tried to stop him because you're only supposed to sign one thing.
Right.
And he goes, don't tell me what I can sign. So he signed his fez and the picture.
Yeah, that's like if you see Henry Winkler at conventions, that guy just is, they're like, you have to stay in your booth. And he's like, I don't have to do anything I don't want to. I want to go talk to people on the other side and take pictures with their phones. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But you know what? Being a celebrity, it's weird that they try to stop him from doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, here's a kid, and he wants to sign something, and you're like, no, we're going to get paid for that? Why? What's your cut? Like, if your cut's more than what I'm making, there might be a problem here.
So the premise of the movie itself, which is what we wanted to discuss, the movie took place in Valentines Bluff, which is as a Canadian mining town. They wanted to renew a 20-year-old tradition of a Valentine's dance, which I guess was a big thing because it was Valentine's Bluff. The dance had been canceled for 20 years because 1 year after a mine explosion that trapped 5 miners due to a supervisor leaving before the mine was clear so they could go to the dance. 1 year after that, they said, we're not doing this anymore. After searching for several days, they found one miner left alive, Harry Warden, and he stayed alive by eating the remains of his fellow miners.
Which is completely reasonable.
If that's what you got to do.
I mean, that's survival of the fittest, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming he didn't eat him alive. Oh, he didn't eat him alive.
Well, if you look at the shot where he's got the arm and he's got the wild eyes, I think he ripped them people apart.
Maybe he did. So due to that ordeal, he went insane.
Yes.
He killed 2 of the supervisors, cut out their hearts, put them in chocolate heart boxes.
Yeah.
So they decide they're going to have this dance again. And
Harry's not happy about that. Not at all.
No, he got upset.
Yeah.
And when they started talking about having a dance again, the murders started happening again.
Mm-hmm.
So the town canceled the dance again, and the kids said, fuck that, we're having our party.
Right. And I want to point out something too about the heart in the box when it shows up and the kid's like, hey, this came for you and I don't know where it came from. And he's like, oh, cool. The mayor takes it and he's in the car with the sheriff and he's like, man, I love chocolate. I'm about to tear this chocolate up. And he opens it up and it's a heart. That's iconic horror right there. The setup of that moment took, it wasn't just like he got, here's a box, open it. You know, they took the time to develop that moment, which is one of the things why I think the first one is an iconic movie, because they really didn't just go total slasher with this thing. They spent their time writing something worth watching.
I think it is decently written. It's not Gone with the Wind.
Hey, it's not Citizen fucking Kane by any stretch of the imagination.
As a horror slasher film goes, it had everything it needed to have, and it was well put together.
You know what the craziest part of this movie is? The acting. These people can actually act. How did they get this many people who could act in a movie that had a budget of $2 million?
Yeah, and none of them were really anybody at the time, right?
No. Paul Kellman played TJ, who is the mayor's son. He's the dark-haired one. The only other movie I know him from is Black Roses, which is like a low-budget fucking rock and roll movie. And I can't remember anybody else from this movie doing anything substantial. And that goes across the board, like actors, directors, writers. Really, none of them jump out as doing anything else. And I think that's kind of weird, because now someone gets into horror and they immediately become like, that's their shtick.
Yeah.
Or if you go back to the 80s, you got Linnea Quigley, you got people like that who all of a sudden become scream queens. Nobody really came out of this thing and made a huge career out of horror movies.
Yeah, and like the writers didn't do any horror after this.
Well, once again, if you write something this good, what are you going to do? You going to muck up your legacy?
So the kids hold the party at the mine. There's murder and mayhem. The town sheriff looks into the murders, calls the mental institution where Harry Warden's supposed to be, and there's no record of him. So I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Hey, this movie is, 40 years old? Almost 50 years old? You can do spoilers at this point. If they have not seen this movie by now,
that's the truth.
That's their problem.
There may be some people like my son who, like, he doesn't think about these movies until I say, hey, let's watch this. And he sat down and watched both of these with me.
Yeah.
And we both kind of came to the same conclusion at the end.
All right.
I'll just say that this was a non-typical 80s slasher film. Like it had all the things you needed for an 80s slasher film, but it was done different and better than some of the other stuff out there.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think this one went above and beyond for an 80s horror movie by a long shot, in my opinion, because there is twists and turns. You don't know what's happening, and you got a party. You got the kids saying "F you," we're going to have our party anyways. You know, the acting's really good in this. I was surprised that there was never a sequel, but you know, what are you going to do?
I would have loved to see a sequel.
We were little kids. We couldn't storm Hollywood at that point and demand another one.
But someone must have wanted another one, because in 2009 they make another one. But they did the same movie. I would have loved to see a 2009 sequel to this.
That would have been cool. So do you want to talk about the sequel now?
Yeah, we'll talk about the second one.
All right, let's get into the second one. Now, right off the rip, I was mad because like you, I'm like, this is going to suck. It's going to be a shitty movie. I'm mad. And then I see Jensen Ackles and Tom Atkins, and I'm like, God damn it. I love both of these guys. All right, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not going to get all crappy on them because, Jensen, he's Supernatural, The Boys. I'm like, because I did not watch this until we talked about doing this review.
Really?
I do not like remakes.
I don't either.
Like the only one that I actually think did a great job is The Hills Have Eyes.
The Rob Zombie version?
Not the Rob. No, it's not Rob Zombie. It's The Hills Have Eyes. Who the fuck redid that?
Didn't Rob Zombie do that?
No, he did Halloween.
Yeah, he did Halloween, but I thought he did The Hills Have Eyes too.
I don't think he did that one because it didn't have enough weird shit. It was basically just an updated version. Like they just did more big effects. But in my opinion, that one was really good. But yeah, I was like, all right, Mike, you want to watch this thing? Fine, I'll watch it. And well, I was pleasantly surprised. I really was. Because it's not the same movie.
No, it's not. No. When this came into the theater, I was a little bit excited because I had so much nostalgia for the old one.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't see it. Like you didn't see it out. Like we still had the video stores. You could still go get it in a video store. Yeah. But, well, maybe 2009 and you couldn't. I think we're getting close to the end of the
Dude, that sucks too, man. I loved going to the video stores.
Absolutely.
Man, that was like the highlight of the Friday night. Like you and your buddies, you went there and you're in the horror aisle and everybody's holding up the covers. Like, what do you think, man? This has got like a severed head on the cover. And all the movies had great names.
Yep.
And now you're just on your TV, scroll.
Yeah, scrolling, trying to find something. I scroll through so much, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to see that. That doesn't look good.
Right.
And I'm the kind of person, even if I start watching a crappy movie, I got to watch it all the way through. Like I have to. There's only a couple movies I've gotten up and walk away from.
Man, that's tough because there's been a few lately. Like my ability to make it through some shitty movies has really went down. Like, if I get mad and I'm just, you know what? I'm wasting my time here. I could watch an old movie. I could watch My Bloody Valentine again and be much more entertained than this crap I'm watching right now. So, actually, that's what I end up doing is if I get mad enough, I'll shut it off. And to make myself feel better, I'll go watch an old horror movie. Because for me, like, horror movies my main genre. That's what I love. That's what I watch a lot of. Unless I'm watching Barney Miller, but, you know, what you can do.
I didn't even know that was still on.
It's not.
Oh,
I'm streaming that shit.
Okay, all right.
Because for me, I love Barney Miller. I think that's one of the greatest shows ever made.
Well, I've just streamed...
That comedy never gets old, man.
I've just streamed every season of MASH. I'm on the final season.
That's another good one, too.
And my son sits and watches it with me.
That's one, because we were so little when those two came out, that we missed a lot of the humor in those shows.
Well, you're about the same age as me.
Yeah, I turned, what is today? Yeah, I turned 51 last week, so.
So I'm a year and a little bit older than you.
So, same age.
Yeah, same age.
You know,
same era.
The beard has gray in it. That's where we're at.
Yep. I did go to this theater to see this because I was excited to see it.
Yeah.
And I loved it in the theater. The one thing I did not love about it, it was 3D.
See, I saw it on, like I said, I just watched it on TV. So the 3D thing, I did not get to enjoy.
You didn't get to enjoy it, but you could see it because I rewatched it again, and you can see where the 3D stuff was. And I'm like, oh, that's so bad.
It's kind of like if you watch Friday the 13th Part 3 again, and you just watch it on regular, viewing pleasure, and you see like the shit is just like, rah, 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 and it's like, oh my God, 3D sucked so bad back then.
Yeah, it did. So this was 2009. Todd Farmer and Zane Smith did the screenplay. Todd Farmer has 11 writing credits, including Jason X, Drive Angry, and Trick, which are three not so great movies. Jason X is probably the worst one in the series.
I was just going to say Jason X is even worse than when spoiler alert, in part 5 when Jason's not the killer. Like,
Yeah.
this is worse than that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
no. Yeah, it was part 5. He wasn't the killer, was it? Yeah, the new beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I shouldn't doubt myself on that. I've only been watching Friday the 13th for my whole life. But yeah, I think Jason X, it's not a bad movie till the very end. When that goddamn thing drops back down into Crystal Lake from outer space, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That is the second worst thing I've ever seen other than Indy in the refrigerator flying away from the nuclear explosion.
Oh. Zane Smith, this was the only full-length film that he wrote. Screenplay.
He didn't do a bad job.
No. It was directed by Patrick Lussier.
Can we call it, because I want to imagine he's French, so I want to call him Lussier. And I imagine he's on set and he says things like, ho, ho, ho. The miner must use the pickaxe in this scene. Or pancakes. One or the other.
Let them eat crepes.
Yeah.
He directed Dracula 2000, The Prophecy 3, and several TV series. And he has editing credits on MacGyver, Highlander, New Nightmare, Scream 1, 2, and 3, Mimic, and Halloween H2O.
That's pretty good track record, but
For the TV stuff, for the directing, the Prophecy 3.
yeah, I just I glanced by that and just ignored it.
Okay.
I just listened to the other ones.
This one was shot in southwestern Pennsylvania, just south of Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
It was the exterior of Logansport Mine in Bethel. And the Kittening Main Street was used as the main street in the fictional town of Harmony. So it's no longer Valentine Bluffs, it's Harmony.
Which is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Why change the name of the town?
I think they were trying to make believe the other movie never happened.
Okay, but we're already doing a remake.
Yeah.
Tom Hanniger has the same name as the other character, T.J. Hanniger.
I know.
Come on, we're making the same movie again, but we're not.
This mine was shut down and was currently a museum when they were doing the shooting. 13 days of filming took place at the Tor Ed mine in a Pittsburgh suburb. Filming started May 11th, 2008. It was a 3D film, which is all the rage in the 2000s. I'm not a big fan.
Well, every so often this happens. If you look back at the 50s, they had that crazy thing where 3D happened.
Yeah.
And then it popped back up for a minute in the late 70s, I think it was. What the hell was it? Oh, like Jaws 3D. Friday the 13th, you get in the 80s. All of a sudden, 3D is the fucking rage again. And then Avatar comes out. Oh,
yep.
We're back into it. I fell asleep during that movie in the theater.
Never saw it.
Oh, my God.
Never saw it. Everybody raves about it. Never saw it. I was told it's Dances with Wolves with blue people.
Yeah. I'm sitting there, and at one point, there's this rock that they want to get that's hard to get to. And the one character goes, it's called unobtainium. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And I went to bed. My family's with me. I just went to sleep in the theater. I woke up, and that's another 3-hour movie. And I'm like, I woke up a while later. Oh, fuck, there's still blue people on the screen. Damn it. God, I thought I went home.
This film budget was $14 million.
Yeah, that's a lot more than the first one.
And it totaled $51 million in the U.S. market and grossed $100 million in box offices worldwide.
And that, in my opinion, I don't think that's bad. But guess what happens again to this poor movie? No sequel.
No sequel.
Nope.
The film opened to a gross $24 million for the opening week, and it was third behind Gran Torino and Paul Blart Mall Cop.
I think that's the embarrassing part because I've seen Paul Blart, and this is a far superior movie to Paul Blart.
Like, I like comedies, and the Paul Blart is a funny movie, but it's not a great movie.
No, I'm not knocking Kevin James because I think he's a funny dude, but Paul Blart is not his finest moment. And in 2009, I guess the general public didn't understand what a good movie was.
True.
So they just gravitated towards the dumb mall cop movie. Because you have to remember, too, if you're taking a date to the movie theater, a lot of women are not into horror. You know I go on Instagram and I see all the hot horror chicks and all that, but believe me, that's a ruse.
Yeah.
That's a clever, shell game that they're playing to make money. Most women just are not that into horror.
It's funny because I just made an appointment with a doctor for an MRI. Another one. I'm going to run away again. But the lady who was making my appointment, I don't know how she was checking on something because I had a metal splinter in my eye some years ago. So they have to check for a head x-ray, an orbital x-ray to make sure the metal's not still there. It could blind me. So she's checking for this and she has me on hold, but she's talking to me and she's, how you doing? What are you doing this week? And blah, 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 blah. And I said about doing a podcast about My Bloody Valentine. She goes, oh, I love that movie. She goes, I love horror movies, especially 80s horror. And I'm like, really? And I said, there's a bunch of good horror movies coming out this year, supposedly. And
yeah, there are actually.
And she's like, oh, what are they? And I start going down the list, and she goes, I got to go see them. Like, it was just weird because I don't know many women who enjoy horror.
Look, I compare this to, because I love Dungeons and Dragons. I've played since I was fucking 10 years old. And now everybody on the planet talks about how they're an old school D&D guy. And when they say old school, they mean like 2000, 2005. I've been playing since 83, back when you would get in a fist fight with somebody because they were bad-mouthing you and calling you a nerd or beating up one of your friends.
Yep.
And I'm just like, how the fuck is this happening?
I played back then. My son plays now.
Yeah, I still play. I love it to death, man. And it's funny because, like I said, I have never been embarrassed to say it. Like, I love the game. I'm an ambassador for the game. And now they're like, oh, you're one of them old grognard motherfuckers who's a gamekeeper. And I'm like, I'm not. I like the game, man. I don't care what version we play. Let's just play the game. But understand I'm old and I like my game to be the way it's supposed to be. I want to be the hero. I don't want to be a dragon man who spits fire and flies. I just want to be Conan. Can I be Conan?
Yeah, me and my son talk about that all the time. I couldn't play now because I haven't played for so many years. I wouldn't even know where to start, and I didn't play.
Can you roll dice? Do you have an imagination? You can play today. Yeah. That's what I tell everyone. That's how I trick my friends. They're like, because you need players, and I'll be like, hey, you want to hang out, play D&D? What the fuck is that? It's a game. What do? Well, you roll dice, you pretend to be somebody else, and you drink beer. All right, I'm in.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. And that's how you get people. So, see, now here's the part where you got to figure out where we were at in this movie review.
Oh, I have it highlighted.
All right.
The film received mixed to positive reviews from critics. While some liked the performance and the production value, others criticized the writing, wooden characters, and 3D technology. I will say, I don't think the acting was as good in this one.
No, and that's, for me, I think that's why I like the first one better.
After watching it again, I do agree.
See, but like I said, I think Jensen and Tom Atkins are really fucking good in this movie. But that's only because I love them and other things they've done. If this was the first thing I ever saw them in, Tom Atkins.
You wouldn't run out to see the next thing.
Yeah, Tom Atkins, he gets a pass on whatever he does because he's been in so many good movies over the years, and Jensen gets the pass for what he's done. But once again, I think they're really the only two actors in this movie who are professional actors. I think the kid who plays the sheriff, Axel, I don't think his acting was very good at all. It was very subpar. The naked chick was awesome at the beginning.
There's a trivia to that.
Oh, yeah?
So I have it down at the end. I'll get to that. But that scene has some trivia to it.
Nice.
So this was a modernized remake. And, of course, because it's modernized, they changed the story. 6 miners are still trapped due to methane explosion. It was caused by the mine owner's son. Failure to vent the methane from the mine. The only one found alive was Harry Warden, who was found comatose. It was said, and they didn't show the cannibalism, but it was said that
no. They actually changed it. They said he beat them to death to save oxygen.
Yes. But then there was in the newspaper clippings in the begining.
Yes. That's where they get fucked up in this movie. They're saying like he didn't, he was saving oxygen, but he was there for like what, 3 hours or something. It's really quick in this one.
No, it was longer than that. I don't have it written down, but in the clippings one of them said cannibalism ? So they still hinted at the cannibalism, but they didn't.
Right.
They
didn't just flat out show a guy chewing on an arm with crazy eyes like the first one.
So 1 year later, Harry wakes up. 1 year after the accident, he wakes up from his coma, and then goes on a killing spree in the hospital, kills patients, staff, and puts their hearts in chocolate boxes, which makes no sense.
That's an homage. That's what
it is an homage, and there's several in this movie.
There are, which I appreciate, but I wanted to make sense. That's all I ask.
Like if you didn't see the first one, you wouldn't know what the fuck was going on because it's not called Valentine's Bluff anymore. Right, and I watched them both within hours of each other.
Oh, I watched them back to back.
So I'm like,
literally, and it's just like
I caught this stuff because I did that. If I had watched this one just now after watching another one in 81,
it would be insanely difficult.
Yeah,
to watch them 40 years apart and be like. But no, I did. I went back. I watched them when we first talked about doing this. I watched both of them, and then a couple days ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to watch them again, just to make sure I know what the hell I'm talking about. 'Cause, the last thing you want to do is sound stupid when you're talking about movies. So I did watch them again, and this one's got some problems. Still, I think it's better than most movies that have come out.
Yeah, but I'd still prefer to watch this than The Notebook
or Twilight.
Yeah, or Twilight. So Harry wakes up, kills. He returns to the mine, kills several more people, and then thought to be killed in a mine collapse.
Well, Tom shows up, shoots his ass.
He comes back 10 years later.
Right. So he does the thing. He wakes up. He gets shot. Tom Atkins is like, yep, I'm a man. I have a gun and a penis. I'm going to kill people. That's what I do in movies. And then 10 years goes by or whatever. Was it 10 years?
It was 10 years. His father passed away.
Right.
And he's going to sell the mine. So he comes back to sell the mine.
Yes. So this is the Tom Hanniger character, which is basically TJ from the original.
Yeah.
Played by Jensen Ackles. And for some reason unknown, he's like, oh shit, my high school sweetheart that I abandoned is married to Axel, who's now the sheriff, but I'm going to try and bang her anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but the last dude I'm going to try and fuck their wife is a cop. Like, they can ruin your life. Like, they have access to everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, he could have picked somebody else. He could have been like, you know what? That other chick is still hot. Maybe I'll just go talk to her instead. But no, he's got to go and talk to her. And the funny part is Sheriff Axel's like, hey, just so you know, this guy's fucking crazy. If he calls you again, let me know. And then she's opening the store, and there he is, like, out of nowhere. And he's like, hey, I figured you'd be here to open the store for your shift. And she's immediately, like, not freaked out by this at all. Like, you know, a normal person would ask, how long you been sitting outside this store?
You stalking me?
Are you stalking me? What the hell's wrong with you? My husband's the goddamn sheriff. Like, I got him on speed dial. But no, she's like, oh, maybe my husband is a maniac. I suppose I'll trust the guy that abandoned me 10 years ago, and let's go do stuff together. It'll be fun. You want to go mini golf? Whatever.
So after Tom returns to the town, the killings resume.
Yes.
The love triangle ensues.
Mm-hmm.
It comes to light then that Warden was killed and buried by the former sheriff and the mayor. And then they said, look, we'll take you to the grave.
Now, see, this was a twist I liked. I liked that they twisted this and said, look, we murdered this motherfucker and buried him out in the woods, because that's little town justice back then.
Yeah. But when they get to the grave, it's empty.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good thing when you find a grave and you're the one who put it there and now it's empty. Like, shit.
So again, I stopped.
I'm pretty sure I've incriminated myself by telling everyone I did this. But if there's no evidence now, you'd think maybe they'd be like, whew, we're off the hook.
Oh,
somebody took our shit.
So I stopped there because, again, I didn't want to spoil too much.
Yeah.
So there was a sequel written to this.
Yes.
They planned it, but it never gained traction and was put to bed.
Yes, because once again, they told them you didn't make enough money with this one.
Right.
So, like, how much money does a horror movie have to make to get a sequel? Like, that makes no sense to me. Like,
yeah, look, I don't
know. I love Leprechaun. But by the time he went to the hood for the second time, come on. Every horror movie should get at least one sequel if we're going back to the hood twice.
Well, just The Burning never got one.
Yeah, The Burning never got one. Sleepaway Camp I think there's 3 in that series.
Yeah.
But after the first one, it's kind of like, oh, wow, where do you go from there? But they still, those aren't bad movies. I like those, but that was the big one. Like, with that reveal at the end of that movie, you're like, holy shit, what the hell are you doing in part 2? And they never captured that gold again. But I think the 2009 should have got a sequel. I think it made enough money that, in my opinion, it merited, unless the script was so goddamn bad. I didn't write it, so I don't know. But
so the first movie, the original name for it was The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
And they changed it to My Bloody Valentine.
Which was smart.
The second movie, what do I have here? Okay, I lost my place.
Well, this is where I would just make shit up.
The second movie, they changed the first one because of the popularity of the holiday themed movies,
right?
Halloween, Friday the 13th,
Black Christmas,
or date specific.
Yeah.
So in the second movie, if you look, there's a flyer on the wall that indicates that Valentine's Day is February 14th, which is a Saturday in the movie. So the previous day was Friday the 13th. So it's kind of a nod to the slasher films of the past.
Yep.
This was the very first R-rated film in the United States projected in real D technology.
Yeah, that's like the 3D bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the truck scene, the truck driver is played by Todd Farmer, the screenwriter.
Yes. Yes.
So what he said, many fans have said that he joked that he wrote the scene just so he could spend all day with her naked.
Not gonna lie, I would do the same thing, and I would deny it afterwards. But that's a hot woman, man.
Yeah,
that is one pretty lady.
So the first two characters killed on screen were named Jason and Michael.
Yes.
Which is an homage to Friday the 13th and Halloween. I thought that stuff was cool.
Yeah.
Like I love when they throw stuff like that in.
I do. This is a hard one because I know you don't want to give away stuff for this movie, especially about the Tom character. But I have to point out,
you're right. We could give it away. It's been long enough, but I just stopped there because.
Yeah. Well, here's the biggest problem with this movie, for me, is he wakes up from the coma, goes on a killing spree. Where the hell did he go? Where the fuck did he go? Because it's, I don't want to ruin this for anybody who hasn't seen it, but that's kind of a sticky point for me because that dude woke up and he just fucking left Pennsylvania or wherever the fuck they were at, and he just went somewhere.
Harry Warden?
Yeah, Harry Warden.
Well, they killed him.
They
killed him and buried him. I don't know where the people thought he went.
All right, that's right. Well, he's in the cave-in, but he kind of disappears too. But it's kind of an homage to the first one. Okay, well, that's kind of where the twist. All right, I kind of see where that's what the twist comes from. Okay.
Yeah, that's and
right.
Like you said, when they walked up and found it empty, it's like, okay, I didn't do anything.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. That was kind of confusing there for a minute, but yeah, that makes sense now.
That's the two movies compared. All in all, I now agree with you. I believe the first one is better. I enjoyed the second one, which I usually don't enjoy remakes. I enjoyed it enough to think that I liked it better. But after going back and watching them both back to back, because it had been a number of years since I saw the original.
Right. Yeah.
I think the last time I saw it was like in 1990
Yeah.
or something like that. Because I saw it in 81 when it came out. And then I saw it in 84 when we went to the midnight movies.
Yeah. Dude, midnight movies are awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a complex that had back then had 9 movie theaters.
Oh,
So we'd go in and every Saturday we go to midnight movie, then we go to Perkins, which is a diner.
Yes.
And we get kicked out of Perkins. And then we
go somewhere else.
We go to the Top Hat and we get kicked out of Top Hat. So we do midnight movies, we do midnight bowling. Like we were never home on the weekend.
No, and that's what's funny because back then, like we were teenagers. And we'd be at midnight movies. We'd be at midnight bowling. We'd be at, we went to Denny's a lot and Waffle House and shit like that. But, I still say the first one holds up as the better movie. I like the second one a lot. But I still think the first one is superior, mostly because it came first. I think they did a good job of changing it up for the second one. I just wish that he got some better actors for some of the parts.
Yeah, I do agree that I think the acting was better. I think the story was better in the first one.
I think the story's better too.
The story was more cohesive. The second one, after watching, and I don't like 3D. I never have.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either, but what are you gonna do? Trends are trends, and I just think the acting, for me, the story wasn't bad for the second one. I like that they changed it because I don't. One of the things I hate is when they go, all right, we're gonna take this movie and we're gonna take the minor and we're just gonna make him a chick.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's lazy writing. Or we're going to be like, all right, well, the two main characters were dudes in the original, so now they're chicks who are minors. Yeah, that's believable. So I'm glad they didn't do something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the first one is still the superior movie.
It holds up.
Yep. And I think anyone who wants to watch a great early 80s horror movie, like, this is even like when you're getting to the creme de la creme of horror movies of the 80s, like when you get towards the end, like 86 to 89, you start to get to where you're getting, I think they made 500 movies a year between 85 and 90.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, anyone could make a horror movie. So this is when you still had to be a professional filmmaker to make a horror movie. So,
plus the first one, the practical effects are
they're amazing.
So much better than any of the. To do the 3D stuff, you have to do CGI, and it just.
Yeah,
it loses
CGI is nowhere near as impressive as practical effects. Never will be. I don't care how good they get them down. It's never going to be as impressive.
I hear you say that all the time. I agree 100%. I'm a huge fan of practical effects, and I've taught my son the same thing. Like, he sees the wisdom in that now.
Yeah, like, even if you go back to like the Kevin Bacon scene in Friday the 13th, the arrow, and you look at like the diagrams that they have of that, where Kevin Bacon, they have the drawing where he's under the bed and he has to hold his neck backwards, and I think this Tom Savini and his partner at the time, who's like 15, is pumping the blood and everything, and it's like, you can see the diagram they drew of this to show people, like, here's what we're going to do. So, like, there's a fake body, and his head has to lay underneath and just cock his head back as far as he can to make this look real. And they pull it off.
Yeah.
Because that looks like that arrow comes right through his goddamn neck. And there's something to be said where some kid on a computer, and look, I'm not saying that doesn't take talent, because in a million years, if I lived for a million years, I could never figure out how to work a computer to do that. But you give me somebody who's making blood pumps and packets and figuring all that stuff out in a safe way to not hurt anybody, far more impressive than some kid on a computer going, all right, 15 minutes, I'm done. There's your scene.
Yeah.
I don't care how good it looks. It ain't never going to be as impressive. So.
Nope. No, it will not. So that's My Bloody Valentine, 1981, 2009. We took that on. You guys go take on the world. This will be dropping on Valentine's Day. And Ray, I appreciate you coming on with me. Love to have you on again.
I'll come back anytime you want me, Mike. I like talking, and it keeps me from having to make my own podcast the more you invite me back. So
I know we will be over on your podcast coming out. I don't have my calendar with me, but on Deluxe Edition coming up. And I'm going to tease the topic now.
You probably should.
It's going to be everybody's 5 worst remakes.
Yeah. Boy, that's going to be a shit show.
I hate remakes.
Dude, I'm not a fan either, but the 5 worst is going to be hard to narrow down. I'll tell you that right now.
It won't be easy. It's like I'm going to be on Barrel Age doing my 5 favorite wrestlers.
Oh, see, that's a topic that's worth doing.
Because
you get to talk about something you're excited about.
I was going to do that with you guys, and then they came up with it, and I'm like, we can't both do it.
Nah, that's good. You know, I'm sure Casey's not going to be happy that you're doing a wrestling thing with someone other than him, but he'll get over it.
I think Casey's going to be on with me.
Oh, that'll be cool.
I think he is.
Now, see, that's a good one. That's a big fucking podcast right there.
If he's not, maybe I'll steer us towards wrestling, because I had asked Casey in the beginning when he asked us to come over and do that. I said, "Well, does Ray like old school wrestling?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does."
Yeah, and I don't like wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he's not, I'm gonna fucking make sure he is going for that one, because if there's anybody who loves wrestling, it's that guy.
Oh yeah. We had some good times, man. We had some good times.
So, you ever put him in a camel clutch?
No, but I think I did a swanton off the top rope on him.
That's awesome.
Yep. 400 pounds off the top rope right on top of him.
Jesus Christ. You could have killed him.
I know. He picked the wrong team.
Nice.
All right, Ray. Thanks a lot. Good night.
I appreciate you inviting me on, Mike. Looking forward to more.
Yeah.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials.
Wow. Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill. You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.